Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I am your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today is the beautiful, the lovely. You've seen her on Cathouse, the series. You've seen her as a major, integral part of the industry. That is the one and only Miss Air Force Amy. Amy, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you?
Thank you, Mike. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Like I said, for me, it's last week before we started recording this show. I think for me, just as a young man, seeing a Cat House the series and just the overall memories and just to see the overall aspect of the industry and what you ladies did at the Bunny Ranch, it's a lot of respect for you that you had a lot of vibrancy and you're just an overall amazing person who I have a lot of respect for. So for me today, it's a pleasure and a privilege.
Well, thank you, Mike. Flattery gets you everywhere with me, okay? Especially at my age now, right? So you talk about memories in childhood, and yeah, this is what we just try to create good memories throughout our lives. That's what our life is, just a bunch of memories all put together, right? So the more good memories you create, the better the life you can have, right?
Exactly. And from a stance like as a young man, again, I'm going to say this right now, Cat House the series, when you're like a teenager in the mid 2000s, like 13, 14, and might I say, I always make this joke when your parents leave the room, it's one of those things, but no, I digress. It's one of those things, Amy, where you get to see shows like Cat House the series and just not just the overall aspect with the Bunny Ranch and God rest his soul, Dennis Hoff, but it really gives you an insight on what you ladies got to do. And I got to say, each and every episode was different. It was very cool. And we also got to see you for who you are and what I always admired about you was your vibrancy and just the clientele that you ladies brought in and just the overall work that went into it.
Yeah. Well, um, Cat House, this series, we aired the first actual, it was considered a documentary. We aired immediately after the last episode of The Sopranos, okay, like the very last episode. So we had a huge viewership and it caught on. Now, HBO came out there wanting to do a documentary, and it was going to be touted as first time ever real prices from inside a brothel, because we never gave our prices, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it was going to be. They thought that it would take like a year for them to get that footage, and we just rigged it all up and we had them in and out of there in a week, and then it just became a hit. So yeah, we did get a lot of fans. I can't, could you imagine if we had social media back then, if we had Twitter? I think we had MySpace when that was on,
That's right. That was the big thing at the time. And I mean, Facebook,
Yeah.
well, Facebook was making its way through the campuses, but Facebook really didn't become big as then because it was just in its beginning phases. But like MySpace was all the rage. So yeah, you're right. And also,
Yeah.
you look at the stands from like you're holding up a lot of viewership. You're at the end of The Sopranos, the infamous "Don't Stop." Like what happened there? And
Right.
this iconic moment, and here comes you ladies onto the scene, and that's a big coup for HBO.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. That was back in the day when we still had Showtime still had R-rated and adult content, like late night content they called it, and it got pulled almost 2 years ago. It aired up until 2 years ago. It got pulled from its roster completely. So yeah, I'm kind of concerned for where we're gonna go. Uh, sex wise in the United States. I got a thing from Google the other day or last month saying that I can't use Google ads any longer if it results in any if the a transaction of money for any type of sexual service. So they're pulling everything. They're just pulling everything. We're getting censored, babe.
Yeah, that's the thing too. And we'll get to that in a second, but I just got to say, like you were talking about like the adult content that we saw with Cinemax and everything that was encompassed. Like for instance, like you have Cat House the series, you have your adult films, which a lot of them starred like Nicole Sheridan and her husband Willow. You have a lot of these around this time period, like around your, like I said, Cat House. There was a lot of adult entertainment that could be consumed by the product and everything that really showcased that what everybody watched. You know, you had Taxi Cab Confessions. There was a lot of programming that really encompassed and engulfed us on various networks, whether it be HBO, Cinemax, what have you. And I think that was a very much a golden time period for anyone that really wanted to learn and really watch adult content to what we see now.
And it was good. You know what? It was good in the fact that it showed per it didn't show the aggressiveness. Like if you have to get underground porn or go somewhere else to find it that's not really public, keep it public and keep it respectful. and nice and kind to each other, right? Like you go to like Twitter porn, or you find these other sites, or Pornhub, and girls are being choked and their hair is getting pulled and they're being forced into things, and it's forcible sex and forcible rape. And that's where you learn how not to treat each other in a sensually respectful manner, right? But if you put it in your homes, it's going to be acceptable, respectable. Put it, crime breeds crime. Make it dirty, make it naughty. It's going to be dirty and naughty and raunchy.
Exactly. And I'll be honest, like my first ever, again, as a young man, like teenage wise, like, the hormones are raging. You're in the mid 2000s. We were talking about the prime aspect. Like the first time I ever saw like an adult website was a site called girlshuntinggirls.com. And the premise was they're in the van, they pick up the girl, and it's a sex scene. It's pretty simple. But also at the end of the day, like you were talking, well, that's what it was back in the day before the influx of, I mean, that's what it was before the influx, like you were saying so eloquently there. We have the X hamsters, the Pornhub and stuff. We had websites, and then you'd have to buy a trial to get into, and now everything is just so accessible at our fingertips with streaming and everything. Like we didn't have that accessibility that we do now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're worried about what your kids are going to see as far as X-rated or triple X-rated, or it's in their hand. It's not in their homes now, so it's become way more dangerous. I think we leave it in the homes, and the parents can see what they're watching, and it's okay. I mean, if you become an adult, then it's on you. You're 40 years old and you want to see someone get choked out. That's your deal. That's why you go to a brothel, okay, where someone agrees to that, okay? Someone agrees to the price for that.
And I think from a stance where you were going with it as well, like we see so many like certain scenes on different websites and different streaming sites. It's one of those things where you also look at the overall encompassment of love. Like for me, like my mother and my grandmother, two of my biggest influence. I've always believed in treating respect for women and love and admiration for them, like my mother would treat me. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where I guess I've always just appreciated the love aspect and taking your time and having that, sensual sex. And it's not just about like choking out and stuff. Like not a lot of people encompass the overall term of love with sex, and that's what we saw in a lot of shows with Cathouse and everything that really encompass it. So it was just overall the love aspect, if that makes sense. It's more of a just take your time, you know what I'm saying? Not everything has to be like rough and just like you mentioned, choking out and stuff. It's the overall appreciation and art form of love making.
Yeah, I don't know if the government is ever going to be able to control or mediate that. I mean, because they'll put out one law or this law. They're trying to prevent, say, forcible rape porn and underage porn and things like that. But then it affects me as an adult that is really not producing anything off key, off white at all, right? And I mean, like my OnlyFans just made me take down every picture I have that has anyone besides me in it.
Oh my goodness.
They wanted the 2257. I'm like, really? Even group pictures at work, or pictures with famous people at events? And I can only put a picture of me up any longer without the 2257 consent form. I'm like, oh my God, this was like, this is Rick James, dude. Okay. Just taking a picture with him. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's
so I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's too
regulated.
Well, that's the thing too, Amy, because we live in a day and age, like you were talking about censorship. Like it's every little thing. And I'm going to say this, it doesn't just apply to sex work, but a lot of endeavors. It's a lot of people that, we get offended a little bit more than we used to back in the day. We want to censor everything. We want to have it a certain type of way. And that's the thing, because I believe, like you very open with sex positivity. That's how we have to be. And I'm going to say there's a lot of terms like if you got it, flaunt it. But there's a lot of the voluptuosity factor and the beauty, strength, and dominance that make the women the work of art that they are. They really encompass a imagery from a photo standpoint and a content from a video standpoint. That's not all like, everybody is making out to be like, oh my goodness gracious, let's censor this. Let's not have this, at our fingertips. Let's not have this content out there. It's one of the things where we just up it to the fact of, how can we get offended today? Because there's a lot of people that do get easily offended nowadays.
I think Twitter used reverse psychology on the porn industry. Okay. What they did is they created OnlyFans. Well, OnlyFans is actually a UK company, so we're pretty okay with them. But so they created OnlyFans, and you can advertise OnlyFans on Twitter. Yep. So all the girls quit putting all their really bad, really triple X stuff on Twitter, saying, well, join my OnlyFans and you can see it. Okay. So they kind of removed a bunch of porn off of Twitter. So because people are going to go to OnlyFans to see it. I don't know.
I mean, well, it's smart. I'm going to say with the OnlyFans stuff, we get a variety and we get a lot of preferences. And I got to say, your OnlyFans is always popping. You get to see a lot of great photos and a lot of great content.
Do you see my OnlyFans?
I have seen it, yes, and I gotta
Yeah.
say, I love what I see. I love what I see just for me because I also appreciate, like you were talking about your age before, which stop it. You are an absolutely beautiful, vivacious woman. But no, and I truly mean that with the utmost sincerity and respect because again, there's a lot of beautiful women out there doing their thing. And you look at it from the modeling standpoint, I mean, we live in a day and age where unfortunately fat shaming is a thing, but we also see curvy models. We get to see beautiful models just overall encompass their beauty from an imagery standpoint. I gotta say, there's a lot of beautiful women out there.
I think if you can show your beauty from the inside
Correct.
to the camera, you're going to be beautiful at any age. You're going to be beautiful. If you're just a beautiful person, you're a beautiful person, okay? And
Hell
beauty comes in the form of kindness and courtesy and respect and helpfulness, helpful, generous, just doing the next right thing and being kind. That's beautiful. That's beauty.
Of course. And I mean, I also agree with you on that because you look at it from a stance of it's not just external beauty. There's a lot of inner beauty. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to take it to a pop culture, I look at the Temptations. Beauty's only skin deep. She may be fine on the outside, but so untrue on the inside. There's a lot from a lyrical standpoint that a lot of people can go with as well. It's again, like we mentioned, it's all at our fingertips, but it's how we interpret things.
You know what? I'll tell you, I would not have interacted with my fans on OnlyFans or on social media had the ranch still been open. The governor shut us down March 13th of last year. So it's a year now. Mm-hmm. And my outlook on fans has completely changed because my whole goal was always to get a gentleman from point A to point B, wherever you are in the world, to get you from where you are to see me at the bunny ranch and pay me because I was loyal to the ranch. I had to get them that money, get me that money, get them that money. So with the ranch being closed, I've had a totally different look at my fans. I can appreciate them. I'm not working them to an ends to a means. I'm not just selling something. I'm not just selling sex at the bunny ranch. Now I have the pleasure and the time and I can afford to just appreciate my fans for being fans. And it's such a different experience now. And it's so much better.
Agreed. Agreed. And from a stance too, which I'll ask you about right here. Again, Dennis Hoff, God rest his soul. Like you've had many interactions with him. I'm sure some good, some bad. But when you watch the show, you just get to see everything that's encompassed with how he produces everything from the Bunny Ranch. So I wanted to ask you about first, meeting Dennis and getting involved with the Bunny Ranch because his name is very synonymous with Cathouse and the Bunny Ranch. And we have people like yourself that are very much legendary, not just in the industry, but that it's encompassed with that show and the overall outlook of the Bunny Ranch and the overall structure of it. So I got to ask you, getting involved with Dennis, meeting Dennis, talk about some good times, talk about some bad times, and talk about the overall experience.
Okay, well, my first memory of Dennis, I met him at I was in limbo trying to get a license from one county to the next, from the county I just left in Nye County, which was outside of Clark County, outside of Las Vegas. So I'm hanging out in Vegas waiting to get another license to come up to work outside of Carson City for Dennis. And I was hanging out in town and getting my hair down and stuff. And then the dentist calls me and I'm like, I was actually getting my hair done. I always say beer at the Bellagio. It was a big thing back then. So and Dennis called like, oh my God, I gotta go meet this guy. He's my future boss. Oh God, I gotta go. So I go. And then there's Ron Jeremy there. And I'm like, who's that? I don't know who this guy is, right? This whole story is going to be, I didn't tell you, Mike, I am writing a memoir.
Oh, congratulations. I look forward to it.
And finally, everyone said, you got to write a book. You got to write a book. You got to write it. And I never saw the money in that either. So I never saw, I was busy making money, man. I had time to write a book for nothing. Oh my God, come see me and I'll tell you all about these stories. But now I'm doing a memoir. I have a literary agent and not somewhat of a ghostwriter. Like I write and then she edits. And the actual story of me meeting Ron and Dennis for the first time is one of the chapters in the book. So,
oh, goodness. Well, I got to follow up with you on that, Amy, because here's the thing. Like, you said you didn't see the money. You're just about busy making money. But the book idea, that's great because when you have all the stories and experiences, that intrigues a lot of people. And we see people nowadays writing a book to get everything out there. Like writing books and just, telling your experience, like book reading is at its finest. I mean, we have Kindles on our phones. We have a lot of things that are acceptable for those, and purchasing the books as well. But writing the book also gives people the insight to it. And a lot of people think, oh, where's the controversy? Where's the juice? But you're also providing the insight standpoint of what you got there. So it's a win-win all around for everybody to read.
Well, my book could actually be a saga, and I'm looking at it as, I kid you not, I want it to be a Netflix series. There's a lot more to me than the Bunny Ranch. There's a lot more stories, babe. And it starts at the age of like 8, okay? And yeah, and I'm 55, so that's a lot of storying, okay?
Well, first and foremost, like again, like going back to the age thing, 55, again, still looking fabulous and doing as only as you can do. But it's one of those things where I got to tell you something, Amy. Like you're coming from out of the Air Force and doing what you do, which thank you for what you've done with your service in the military. And you're out here. Like it's an amazing transition just to see it and just to see where you've gone from, doing what you're doing in the Air Force to where you are. And that's a lot of things that I respect about people because I mean, again, we talk about the sex positivity and going back to that for a second. Like for me, if anybody wants to pursue an endeavor or career like you had, there's a lot of avenues to go through and there's a lot of hard work. So you got to respect the people who put the time in and the overall craft of what they're doing.
All right, well, before meeting up with Dennis Hoff and working at the Bunny Ranch, most of the brothels, all the brothels around in the other counties are what they call lockdown pussy prisons. So Dennis was the first one to allow the girls to pull a shift and go home locally, come into work every day. But the counties each have different rule or ordinances too. So some places they just couldn't do that. But yeah, prior to Dennis's place, there's so many stories about girls locked up. I mean, we were just locked up in this pussy prison. The stories are just outrageous, the stuff we pulled, okay? Sneaking out and getting stuff in and getting stuff out, okay? It's just like prison with sex.
Exactly. And it says it right in the title, like prison with sex. Like again, the sex part and the lovemaking, but it's just like, you're trapped and there's a part of you that just wants to get out and you have to be very creative with what you do. And I think that also led you, I mean, it's interesting because we all have that spiritualness about us and we have, God has a plan for all of us. God has guided you through a lot of the obstacles. And I think that makes you a better person. I think that makes you great for what you've done and leaving the legacy that you have behind and to inspire and encourage a lot of people that want to get in said fields. I mean, it's a kind of like a little bit of divine intervention, if you will.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I can say there's battalions of angels that have guided me and held me and took care of me and kept me alive for some reason. And it's got to be to give a good message and to help others. That's all. The only reason I could be on this planet is to put out a good message and to help others. That's it. Because I have definitely been saved from death many times.
Oh, I bet. It's one of the things where first and foremost, I'm going to say I'm glad you, because again, we get to see you from the internal and external beauty and you as a whole. And that's again why I loved you on the series, because again, getting a lot of the clientele, and I think a lot of people who listen to this can agree with me. We get to see a lot of beautiful ladies there, but there's that one attraction. There's that someone who you gravitate and resonate with, just because I'm going to say this, you have the lovely smile, you're very engaging, and it really showcased in your work that we saw on Cathouse, the series.
It's so strange, Mike. I was so insecure. I was like this egomaniac with an inferiority complex. And I was so afraid on this show. I mean, I had the likes of Sunset Thomas and Caressa Kisses and all these other girls that were around me that Dennis paid more attention to. And it didn't strike me that it didn't register with me. It was because they were giving him sex and he felt he owed them. I don't know what it was, but I didn't feel like I got treated as well as those girls. And so I didn't think that I was as beautiful as these girls. And I thought, so I really had a real inferiority complex going into this filming. And I thought, well, okay, I'll do it. And if I get one customer out of this, then it was worth it. And everybody loved Isabella Soprano the most out of that show. But then come to find out, it's like, I can't believe how many people recognize me. I mean, I'm just flabbergasted. It just still flabbergasts me. I can't believe it. People will tell you that, I'll tell you that I'm a legal prostitute. Other people will say, no, you're a celebrity, and I'm like, I don't really digest that I'm a celebrity. I don't feel that, but
Well,
I'll run with it.
of course, but I also look at it from a stance too, and that right there shows your humbleness and just the fact, like, okay, like I'm not a celebrity, I'm just a normal person, I am who I am, I'm just a person just like you and me. But it's one of the things too, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, we talked about the prostitution, we talked about what we get into with Cathouse the series, and it's funny because I wanted to segue off what you said about Isabella Soprano. Like, one of my first early episodes, I believe you were on and Isabella was on it. I remember seeing Isabella Soprano because I believe she also did an adult film for, I'm gonna take it back for everybody here, Naughty Office. For those that remember the website Naughty Office.
She was like, wait, she was like America's Sweetheart, and she was doing interracial like gangbang.
Yeah,
S&M porn.
She was on. That was my earliest memory of her just being on the show, and I remember she did a scene for Naughty Office, which is around the Naughty America series. And again, like I said, teenager just experimenting and just going through stuff. I mean, like, again, like you so eloquently put it, like the days of like looking through search bars and just monitoring stuff on computers before we had everything on our phone. Like, again, it was like an experience just to see like this woman who you would see like late night on Cathouse the series, and then here she is on Naughty Office, and I'm like, God dang, man. Well, all right, here it is.
Right? A score. Who's that? Yeah. She ended up way before organic became cool. Way before anybody knew about it, like right as she left the series, she went and she met someone and started an organic farm. And I imagine she's like richer than God right now. Okay.
Well, God bless her, because I mean, we all take our avenues to after what we do in the adult work or whatever endeavor it is, and we move on to greener pastures. But it's one of those things where, like, you have those iconic names, and I'm going to say this. I mean, like you said, you embraced your celebrity status, but it's one of those things where you, like, again, you have the face, you have that markability about yourself, and it showcases through your work. And also, we talked about Isabella Soprano, many memories. Like, we've seen so many people come through Cathouse the series. I mean, Bridget the Midget, I believe, did an episode of Cathouse the series, very popular. So it's one of those things where it has so many moments that people can identify and resonate with. Like, there's some episodes I'm sure that are out there that we can find online, but it's one of those things where it's amazing just to see how, for those that are unfamiliar with it, now this generation get to see what Cathouse is series about, and the also just everything that's encompassed with the Bunny Ranch.
Yeah, I think this generation's gonna miss that. I think they get right to the point on. I mean, I watch Twitter porn. Okay, I have my feeds on Twitter. I delete and mute everything that doesn't have to do with sex and porn. Okay, all day I'm just looking at Twitter porn. Oh my God, that got me horny, and I gotta go masturbate. So I don't know what kids are doing with it, but I get it right on my phone, and maybe they missed something good with cat. And it may just be history. These brothels may just be history for quite some time, hun.
Oh, that's true. But I mean, I look at it from a stance too. I mean, we have the nostalgia effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody's into nostalgia. And I mean, if everybody wants to the Cathouse the series from a nostalgia standpoint, like you so eloquently put it with the Twitter, like everybody will have like a brief like minute scene. Here's a doggy style scene or what have you. Like you were talking about, like everything's so accessible on Twitter. And I mean, Instagram. I mean, we get to see a lot of photos, but if you go a certain way, there's restrictions, and
I can't believe how they just. I mean,
right.
Other girls would just have like a string up this huge butt. And they'll have someone like slapping whipped cream on it, and that's okay. But I can't just do like a video with Harley Lane. We're just, talking and trying on lingerie. I touched her butt and they yanked my account. Okay.
Jesus. That's the world that we live in, because you can have the littlest of subtleties and nuances, but hey, someone's having, you know what it is? It's like if you ever seen Harold and Kumar to go to White Castle, you could put up the fact where Neil Patrick Harris is smoking, coke off the girl's butt, but that's okay. But no, we can't show trying lingerie again.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, all logic is out the window. So anything. There's no logic right now, I don't think.
No, and that's the thing. Like, and I know the lingerie video you're talking about, because I'll be honest, I got to say this, like watching your YouTube and just seeing everything that you encompass on there's a lot of fun. And I wanted to talk about your YouTube because we get to see you do a lot of reviews on stuff like sex toys and just trying on lingerie. There's a lot of great content on your YouTube, baby.
Thanks. I've been up just for like 8 weeks now. Or no, my first Christmas poem, and I thought that up in like 10 minutes. I was trying to throw something together, and I was like, all right, I'll just add the Christmas poem. So that was our first one. And I was looking at them last night. I'm going to put up all bloopers this week, just all the bloopers, because I know people don't watch the shows all the way to the end. The bloopers are so funny. I have so much fun doing this filming, and you can see just in a course of 2 months how the sound and lighting has gotten so much better. I have the room that I'm filming in now in my formal living room. It's just like it's a studio now, and one of the walls is painted halfway up because all my walls are yellow. My hair bleeds into it, so I'm just gonna paint that wall, a different color every once in a while. So yeah, so I'm having a lot of fun with that, and that lingerie video got like 9,000 views, and I just hit the right hashtags. I mean, and along with the fact that I have a 25-year-old in lingerie with me, okay. But I think it was mostly the hashtags, actually, that I was number 3 on a YouTube search for lingerie for 3 days.
Damn. All
I
right.
got a lot of views, yeah.
Well,
So
that's the thing too. We have to learn how to market ourselves now with YouTube, and like we said, everything at our fingertips. I mean, that's the beauty of social media. It's a blessing and it's a curse, and it's also a positive and it's a negative, because there's a lot of negative feedback and people want to troll and people just want to be dickheads. But then you have the positive side of things where people are out there doing what they do from the content standpoint, and like you mentioned, hashtag and the overall results that we get to see with YouTube or Google. It's one of those things where it's like, God dang, man. You think of back in the days when Jenna Jameson was like one of the most downloaded people on the internet. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing just to see from the 90s, the 80s, or what have you, to that particular time period to where we are now. Like, it's amazing just to see the evolution from where we've come from.
yeah, but it worries me too, though, that I don't want to put all my eggs in an online basket,
Yeah.
because I mean I've been yanked off of so many platforms just because I have 3 names, Air Force Amy, as opposed to Twinkle Tits. Okay. So I've been yanked just because I'm Air Force Amy on too many platforms. So I just can't put all my eggs in a basket like that. So I'm looking at just the book and I want to really do some comedy. I would like to go to Second City Comedy School and do comedy.
Well, first and foremost, I'm just going to add before I ask you about the comedy, somebody just is probably going to steal that name, Twinkle Tits. You just gave
Yeah, Twinkle Tits. And
Twinkle.
that's another thing. I have to go on all the platforms. If a new platform comes out, I have to go to it immediately and secure my name, Air Force Amy, or else somebody else will.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like when anybody creates like a Twitter or anything, like you have to make sure like the name's not already taken. You know what I'm saying? It's like even though that's your name, you know what I'm saying? You have to make sure crap's not taken, and then you have to come up with a different hashtag or a different username or handle. And it's just like, God dang, man! But this is really who I am.
Right? Yeah, I'm trademarked. I could go after people, but yeah. Someone on Instagram contacted me because I'm like the Air Force Amy on Instagram.
Yeah.
Someone says, I have your name, Air Force Amy, and for $10,000 you can buy it for me. And I was like, really? How about I sue you for $20,000 and take that name because I'm trademarked?
Hell yeah! All right. Very true, but I also got to look at it from a sense like you were talking about comedy, and I'm going to say you would do very well in comedy. You're very, like I said, you're a very funny person. You got a lot of stories that you could encompass from a comedic standpoint, and also like that would work.
Yeah, well, you know what, and I hate to say this out loud because there will be a lot. Then there aren't a lot of self-proclaimed prostitute comedians.
Well, again, like I said, from where you started from being a prostitute and everything from the sexual, orientation and just the overall sexual being and your vivaciousness and your voluptuosity, like you could encompass that with your overall being and tell it from the heart, and it would still be funny. Like I remember seeing a Rebecca Bardot do some stand-up comedy as well. So you can encompass your life as in the adult industry with what we've done with the Bunny Ranch. You can just roll it up into one big ball and just have some laughs.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good.
Me too, but like I said, I truly wish you nothing but the best of that endeavor as well, because I'll be honest with you, I'd watch it. I'd watch it. You have me hooked.
Good. Thanks.
You're very welcome. And I think that's what's great about it too. And I'm going to add this to you. Like we all have a lot of endeavors that we want to pursue. And I think that's what we have to do as people, go after them and like, fuck whatever anybody else has to say, and just focus on you and do what you want to do. And if it's not, that's something that you love, just keep on pursuing it.
You don't know what you like or are good at or what's going to pan out until you try it. And then if you like it, you do it with passion and you'll be the best. And you'll be, or well enough at it.
Yep.
They say that you find something that you love and make it your job, get paid for it. That's the key.
Agreed. It's a simple formula, but at the end of the day, I think that's what's great about everything. But the only thing that always gets me too is, I mean, everybody with the social media standpoint, like everybody just wants to make money, like with social media, which I understand. But at the end of the day, it's like, God dang, man, like where we come from, doing jobs and just doing what have you, whatever endeavor and career. I mean, we're so inclined to, want to do stuff on social media. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people just focus more of their attention to there as opposed to like, the regular jobs that we see, like a lot of us do. But it's one of those things where, again, it creates a lot of avenues. But then again, there's also kind of like, all right, there's like too much social media in our lives, right? Because there's a lot of,
Yeah,
well, there's,
yeah,
there's a lot of times where it's like we got to get away from social media because it could be very congestive. It can also be like it could be too much at times.
yeah. That's what you'll see me go really hard and heavy on social media for a week or so, and then I'm like, dang, I gotta take a break, and then I'll hit it and think that I don't have any content and be like, oh man, all right, then I'll hit it, So I go in spurts. I'm not one of those people who can do it every single day, no matter what. The only thing I do every single day, no matter what, is have sex and OnlyFans. Okay.
It's the combination sex and OnlyFans. Yes.
Yeah. That's the only
I
thing
mean,
I do
I
every
can
day.
respect that. First and foremost, you have something with OnlyFans. Again, very interactive, and we get to see a lot of preferences and a lot of great stuff with OnlyFans. And then, well, there's the sex part about it too, which is always a great thing. And I mean, again, going back to you being sex positive, I think what I love about that too is because we've seen in so many magazines with Playboy, we see with modeling, we see with adult films. Like, there's a lot of great things that would be known as taboo. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what, we're all humans, and it's the human body, and the human body is an art. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's great to be sex positive and just embrace the overall sexual and the overall vibes and the overall sensualness of said sex and your overall being.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, live and let live. If you don't like what you don't like what you're seeing, change the channel.
Yep.
But I mean, if you're abusing it and then yeah, you get caught and pay the consequences. But other than that, I don't like lots of rules.
Well, I can also respect that too, because there is an old saying, rules are like bones made to be broken. I see.
Yeah.
I like your style. All right. You know what I'm saying? Fuck 'em.
Rules, no rules. Yeah. So anyhow, hey, are we good?
Oh, well, actually, I do have a couple final questions I just want to ask
Okay.
you. We're actually almost done. So I'm going to say,
All right.
no, first and foremost, Amy, I'm going to say first and also as well, the overture's here. Anytime you want to come back on the show, you're more than welcome. I appreciate
Thanks.
your time.
Thanks. I would love to. I would love to.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And what I did also want to ask, because we did talk about the adult entertainment industry and being sex positive and modeling and everything that we see today, I also just wanted to ask you about the military life as well, because I got to say, doing what you do, and thank you for your service. Talk about entering the military. I did want to ask about that because you've done a lot of great work from the military side of things as well.
I love what the military afforded for me. See, I was a teenage runaway and I was hitchhiking around the country for several years, like 5 years before I joined the military. And I thought the military would provide me a safe place. I would just be safe. And in all actuality, it was a man's world. Okay, and I was pretty much tossed around that base like a football. And for many, many, many years, I thought it was all my fault because I drank too much. And the truth of the matter is, there were what do they call that? NCOs and
Yes.
rank fraternization. You were in a lot
Yep.
of that. So, and that happened a lot. And from what I read and gather, it still happens a lot now. There's still an overtone of you can take advantage of a chick because to make yourself feel okay and to make it be okay that she's there with you. So it was like uh, um a control thing or an ego thing. So, and it happens a lot. So there's a lot of military sexual trauma going on. Is what I gotta say.
Oh, I mean, but from a standpoint, I got to say, anything to do with the military, like you talk about, you got to support. I look at it from a stance as a female doing what you did in the Air Force. Like, I got to commend you because you're protecting a lot of people and you're very good at your job, and it also instills a lot of discipline into you. Like you mentioned, the trauma aside, but like I said, you did a lot of great things, and it really shows for a lot of
Oh
people.
yeah, despite the fact that those things happen. I mean, a woman if she wants to make rank and do well anywhere, she has to do twice as well as the men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's still the glass ceiling, and I did 10 times as well as the men. Okay, I took it to the extreme, And I was a hot troop, man. I was sharp, and all kinds of awards, did all kinds of things, went all kinds of places. It was great. I loved to learn the chain of command, responsibility, and so all the things that the military did teach me, I embrace and I use to this day.
Uh,
Does it have its faults? Yeah. Does is overall, it's a well-oiled machine, man. I'll tell you what, the military does it right.
And I think to say in regards, lastly, with the military, I mean, like you talk about, like everything that goes into it, it does have its faults and does have its trauma. Just to reiterate that point. But like I said, what's great about it too is we talked about the discipline, and we talked about everything that goes into it. And I think what's great about women in the military and women in general, of all facets of life and endeavors, we get to have a lot of strong women out there, and we get to see a lot of beautiful women, and we get to have that overall appeal with women, and just overall that really draws and gravitates us and resonates us with women. And I think that's really encompassed you and has taken you so far in your life. And I got to say, with the utmost love and sincerity, respect, I truly wish you nothing but continued success going forward.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much, Mike. Right back at you. Right back at you.
You're very welcome.
Oh, you're talking to a mirror. Boom.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much.
Thank
Because I
you.
gotta say, you're welcome. And I think kindness, and we have to be united, not divided, as people. And I think that's the way to be. And like I said, I just appreciate life as it is, and I appreciate great people like yourself
Okay.
taking the time. And Amy, before we even close out, I'm gonna say this right now. Links will be in the description, so everybody can check out Miss Air Force Amy. But please promote the social media where people can find you. Links will be in the description. Please go right ahead, so everybody can check you out on all forms of social media.
If there was one thing I wanted to say to the folks listening is just be kind to one another and check on your neighbors, man. See if they're okay. See if you can help out your neighbors. That's where we got to start right here at home.
Hell yeah. So, Amy, please promote Twitter, Instagram. Everybody can check you out. Like I said, links will be in the description. Please go right ahead. Let everybody know where we can find you.
I love you with all my heart. I love you to death. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.